It's time for another episode of Tucson Means Business, featuring Tucson's top entrepreneurs and leaders in the business world. And now your host, Mark Bishop.
Well, welcome once again to another Tucson Means Business. And as usual, we have some very interesting guests on board for this show. For this episode, we're going to be speaking with Chrissy and Bill Ballard. They're infamous in their own right. They are the CEO and franchise owners of the B&I Business Network International for Southern Arizona. And they're in the studio with me along with Bob Ditko. And Bob is with the Stewart Title and Trust Company. Stewart Title and Trust, and of course our studio, Tucson Business Radio X, is located in the corporate offices of Stewart Title here on Broadway. So first of all, welcome to Chrissy and to Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, and Bob, welcome.
Hey, nice to have me back.
All right, good to have you again. Well, what an interesting couple. Research shows a lot of you guys. You do a lot in the community. The show, of course, brought to us by the 49ers Golf and Country Club and the Rincon Grill, is all about successful business people and what they do in Tucson and how they're helping our fair city. And Chris and Bill Ballard, well, they're passionate about the opportunity to continue to build B&I here so that their members not only make more money but fulfill their dreams. And you know, just in case you didn't know, B&I, it's the largest referral organization in the world and is celebrating 19 years now here in Southern Arizona. In fact, this month. There are 14 chapters from Sierra Vista to Maricopa with nearly 300 members. That's quite a membership there, Chrissy.
It is, yes. Thank you so much for having us today.
You're most welcome. Most welcome. Now, you're a Tucson native, correct?
I am.
Okay, and you love traveling with your family?
I do.
All right. And how about shooting pool?
Yes, I do enjoy shooting pool. My 9-ball team actually just won the city championships 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so we're going to Worlds in Vegas. Who knew?
Well, shooting pool, playing cards. I mean, hey, were you a tomboy or what's the deal there?
Maybe just a little.
And watching the Denver Broncos.
Yes, I am a Denver Bronco fan. Yes.
All right. Who taught you to play pool?
My father, actually. Yeah, when I was little, we had a pool table. I could barely see over it, and I remember just the eyes looking over the pool table and figuring out how I was going to hit the white ball into the other balls.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
It reminds me of me, too. As a little guy, my grandfather had a billiards table.
Okay.
And I was peering over that one, too, just trying to get to the top.
Yeah.
Bill, you're also a pool buff, right?
I play a little bit.
Yeah, and you enjoy traveling along with scuba diving is one of your favorites.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Yes, and being from Kansas City, we won't hold it against you, but naturally you're a Chiefs fan.
I
So
am
unfortunate. I mean, yes, he is.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey, it's all about you right now.
There's only crying when we win.
Wow. So I got to ask you, what happens when you play each other? I mean, the Ballard household, it'll get rather interesting, wouldn't it?
It's a little ugly, actually. A couple of Thanksgivings ago.
Wait, is he talking about pool or?
No, he's definitely
Chiefs and
talking about,
Broncos?
Chiefs and Broncos.
Well, you share 4 bonus children and 1 daughter. All right. I'm in. What's a bonus child?
So I married, my first husband had kids when I married him, so I count them as bonus children. And Bill was married before and has 2 bonus kids. And then I have a daughter that is 19.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. Well, you look too young for that, so I'll tell you
thanks.
that. Well, you work together as a team.
We do.
Which is fantastic because, you know, usually you tear each other's hair out as couples in business. To build your business in Southern Arizona, which counties are you in, actually?
So there are 6. You're going to tax my memory, even though I wrote that, right? Mm-hmm. All right. So Pinal, Cochise, Graham, Santa Cruz, Pima, and Greenlee.
Very good.
Oh, yay.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Yes.
Business Network International, Arizona's South's purpose it is to help businesses, large
Absolutely.
and small, and grow their businesses, make more money. But really, it's a lot more than that, isn't it?
It is. It's really about building communities within the community. That's what we like to say we do. The memberships are vast. There are small businesses, solopreneurs, and there are employees of very large companies.
Well, your members range from, as you say, solo entrepreneurs to owners of large companies, but employees of everything in between, really. It's not limited.
It's not. No. When someone asks me, so what works in BNI? And I say it's really about the person, not about the business.
Right.
Someone wants to participate and create really great business relationships, it's going to work.
My next guest was born and raised in Tucson. He says that whenever he tries to leave, the truck breaks down anyway. So,
I cannot make this up.
Bob Ditko, you're still trying to be a comedian, I see. I mean,
It's a dry heat.
You're big in your daytime job. Why give it up? They pay you a fortune, I hear.
That's the only reason why I'm keeping it.
So you're actually Vice President of Social Media and Marketing and Education Liaison.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So it's a mouthful. What is that in a nutshell? What do you do at Stewart?
I run all the education goes through me. So for setting up classes, for accredited classes for agents or for lenders, they turn around and I'll make sure they're booked out and we've got a place to put them. And we sponsor a lot of the classes that go around town along with the part of the state. And as for the social media, whatever we put out there, we make sure that everybody can see it. So we do it on Twitter and LinkedIn, and now we're learning Snapchat. I have no idea. I had hair before I started that one. And then Instagram and Facebook, of course. So we run about 64 pages of Facebook business pages. We help people get set up with their marketing and help them turn around and figure out a routine and how to be seen out there, and sometimes even buy themselves into some credits of people showing up. And then I slowly delete myself from their page and let them off on their own. So we don't charge to do that. I've never charged to do that, but I do help people run it when they need it.
Well, according to a lot of research, Stewart's national title and escrow services, according to many, they contribute to an enjoyable buying or selling experience. So what is it, Bob, that makes all that happen? What's different between you and some of the others out there?
We had a boss that hired me. His name is John Rafferty. John Rafferty owned all of Stewart Title Trust in Arizona. So compared to the rest of the states, John Rafferty ran it a certain way to where it was almost like a family. You could walk in to any building at any time and take over somebody's position and help them out. So it's not like you just had one position, you wore many hats. And as a president, when he hired me, he goes, I work for you. And I thought, well, this is sweet. He goes, oh, no, you work for the other 93 out there. So you realize that it's not from working from the ground up, it's working from the top down and making sure everybody's happy. So when it comes to the marketing part, because I do a lot of marketing, commercial, and in the real estate, the residential, my bosses are all the escrow officers and all their assistants and the person that answers the phone. If they're not happy by staying here, then what do you do? So it's not teaching a managing position, it's a leadership position. Everybody becomes a leader.
Well, I mean, you put yourself through college.
Yeah.
Rodeoed in your younger years.
Yeah, I used to be 6 foot, now I'm 5'9".
Broke your neck a couple of times and your back.
Yeah,
Wow.
It was fun.
Yeah. Okay, so you did this to earn a quid. I mean, it's a credit to you.
I would, if I could live it all over again, I'd probably do it all over again. The rodeo scene and the cowboy scene, and you realize it's not, and it's helped me out in the business today, where not everything's a challenge and competition against each other. You actually work as a team to help each other out. If one of my cowboy friends were broken on the side of the road, no matter if we're mad at each other, did not like each other, wanted to beat each other up, we would still fix your truck and send you home to your family.
Right.
So you realize that you're competing against somebody, but when you get on a bull, and you've ridden on that bull before, you can turn around and reach over to that rider and says, he's going to go left 3 times, you're going to turn around, and he's going to spin once, he's going to stop and go right from there. And if you win this, you're buying me my beers tonight. And they usually do. Mm-hmm. So you help each other out. Plus, if you're going to get caught and they can't get you off that bull, there's 16 of us going to jump that fence to help out.
Well, I don't know, Bill, would you ride a bull if you were given a chance to?
Not anymore.
No, fair enough. Bob, past president of BIC, B-I-C?
Business Information Club. I was gone one day, and the next thing you know, I turned around, was president of that chapter for the next year.
Okay.
Learned a lot about it. It's a small group. We all get together. A lot of them are starting to be retirees, so we're looking to up that down the line. But with the retirees going out in the big group, we pretty much work with each other and help each other out just like you would any other social networking group.
Pretty busy, too. You're a past board member of the March of Dimes.
I was. My daughter and I were on there for 4 years. She was an ambassador where she got up and spoke in front of, I'd say, 300 people. We raised $78,000 that year, but she was only 13 when she did it. So it was a great experience for her.
For those that don't know, March of Dimes.
It's for preemies. When it first started, it was for kids with polio, and every dime that went to it went towards the polio and helping out polio. When polio finally went away, they turned around and started working with preemie babies. The whole concept changed. Instead of it's a dime per dime, it's a dime out of every dollar. So it didn't make sense to me after a while when we'd stopped going there. But we were on the board for quite a bit, helping out. And we've seen some of the changes they did make in Tucson alone. So whatever we raised here stayed here.
Right, which is a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I will say, though, Bob, I've never really heard of anyone naming their dog Batman, you know?
It was probably too much alcohol.
I was going to say, was it alcohol-induced?
I woke up on a Saturday morning and my daughter says, Dad, I want a puppy. I want to name it Batman. And for some reason, I said, okay. And so the next thing you know, I should have named him Normal. I mean, he gets into everything.
You speak of your daughter. Is that Chloe?
Julia.
Where did I get Chloe from?
I have no idea. You know, it could be. My 20s are great. You probably know more than I do. I've only have
sorry,
one
Julia.
Batman would be my bonus kid, and so
all right,
I go from there.
Julia. So yeah, you're very proud of her. I know you speak of her.
She's a great kid.
You love to visit rodeos, love camping, country concerts, barbecue, building furniture,
and make my own,
and writing. You find time to that?
I'm on my third book right now.
Yeah?
So it's kind of different from what I used to do.
Third time lucky, the other two didn't sell, or what?
Oh, the other two sold just fine.
Yeah.
I basically self-motivated myself to turn around and self-publish those two books. And they did well, maybe about $2,500 each.
And what sort of books were they?
A lot of humor in the morning when I get up, and then a lot of common thoughts. If you could turn around, take the word fantastic or surprise and write about it or put something towards it, or just being a single dad running through life and how I kept myself grounded by raising my child.
Right.
And putting it out there. And once I've written it, if it's helped me out, I hope it's going to help somebody else out. So this one, the third one's going to be as a novel. I got about 4 of the 5 characters going to be in there already. And it's something different because hopefully out of writing this book, then it'll give me ideas to take that one with this character and write another book for that one and go on. So I treat it more as a hobby than I do anything else.
Well, I would imagine that in your day-to-day role that you do with Stuart Title, because you're out and about, you're dealing and wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
Every day, Monday to Friday anyway, but even when you go to barbecues on a weekend, you're working away, aren't you?
I love it.
Are they the characters in this book we're talking about? Or?
There's a couple of my friends that I've really based a character off, and there's a couple of friends I've asked if I can do that with.
Right.
But for the most part, whenever you write, you don't realize how much you're putting your own personality into something.
That's it.
So that's the challenge right now, is taking the personality, because I did that with the first 2 books. Everything was my personality I was putting into it. I want to write about somebody else's personality. I want to write about how they like their dog compared to me hating my dog. So, you know, it's taking somebody else, or why they're... I've got one friend he's a songwriter and a singer. And he's kind of, right now, he's in that tense group where, do I keep doing this or do I do something else because the love of my life would want to see me change? Mm-hmm. So it's, what do you change into? Well, he's going to be a writer in one of the books. So, and I'm working that out with him, and is it okay, and what he's going through, so I can actually make it as original as possible to hopefully come back up.
Well, there's no doubt about you, pal. You're talented. Country concerts, do you have a favorite? I mean, Garth Brooks or...
When it comes to country concert, if they got moonshine, I'm there.
What about you, Bill? Are you into country music?
I've been to all kinds of music. I love music.
Yeah?
Me too.
Yeah, love all kinds of music. Country music, absolutely, but not a fan of concerts.
Not a fan of concerts? So what would be your best concert you've been to? Give us an idea.
Neil Diamond.
Neil Diamond?
Oh, yeah,
He's pretty popular.
You know, it's funny. The one that I went to was not even a country concert. It was Sister Hazel.
Oh, yeah.
And I get more out of them than anything else. It was a really good concert, and they've got their energy was so high.
Yeah.
But Neil Diamond, I've seen him, God, I must have been 18 years old.
Probably the same concert as me.
There we go.
Well, you've got hair. He doesn't. So, you know. Chrissy, what about yours? What would be your favorite?
Oh, a favorite concert?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I love all music. definitely. I have seen George Strait so many times. It's silly, and I enjoy him every single time.
Yeah, he's very popular.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
he?
pretty crazy that a guy can just get up there with a guitar. He doesn't have backup dancers, and he's not changing clothes 16 times.
Right.
And he puts on a great show.
Well, I had a privilege a couple of weeks ago to get up to Phoenix and saw Willie Nelson live with his sister on the piano, and I thought she was 110, but apparently she's younger than he is. I couldn't believe it. But it was a great show, I tell you. From what I understand, BNI prides itself on creating a positive, supportive, structured place for all members to come together. How does that happen? What goes on at BNI?
Well, the great thing, I was at a meeting this morning, and I was actually sharing with Bob that there were 10 interns from Intuit in the room. And, these are juniors and seniors in college. And afterwards, I was talking with them, and I said, so what'd you think of the meeting? And one of the guys looked at me and he said, well, it was fun. And I said, you seem surprised. And he said, well, yeah, because they said we were going to some business meeting. I said, oh. He said, but there was an agenda. The president was running an agenda, and everything was timed, and we were moving along. But there were 62 people in the room this morning.
Wow.
And we started at 7 and ended at 8:30. And that doesn't happen if we don't have an agenda and we keep things on, because people can talk, and they talk a lot. So there's an agenda, there's some structure, but there's a whole lot of fun that happens. And he said to me, it was really evident watching the people so we have a referral and testimonial portion. And they were going around, the members, and he said when they were going around, he said it was really evident how much they care about each other and what great care they take of each other. And they trust each other. And I said, well, that's what we're about. We transfer trust. That's what we do.
That's fairly important. Bill, did you meet Christy through BNI, just as a matter of interest? Or?
Yes.
Best
Yes,
BNI referral ever.
Absolutely. Yeah. 36 hours after I met this woman, I looked up from a pool table and I said, you're going to marry me someday, right?
Possibly. I told him he was crazy.
And I completely agreed. And yet now I show her my ring on my hand and I say, have you seen my ring? So confident that I was right.
It all started on a pool table. Think about it. Well, you're both passionate about the opportunity to continue to build BNI here. Your members not only make more money, but fulfill their dreams. But it's interesting to note that in the last 12 months alone, BNI of Southern Arizona, the members have passed something like 17,224 referrals between each other. And it has resulted, because it's about business, but the referrals, we'll delve into this a little more, but the money, $5,833,249. This is enclosed business for the communities that they touch, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So let's touch on that. 17,224 referrals. Okay.
How? How does that even work? I don't even understand how that works. Well, one of the great things about the organization is we track everything. So that sounds like a very high number, and it is, and it's an impressive number. I would say it's probably low by about a third, because amazingly enough, not everybody puts in their referrals. They're still passing them, but they may not enter them into our system. Okay. Because we have a tracking system.
Now, let's be sure, for those that haven't got a clue, have never been to a BNI.
Yes.
A referral.
A referral is basically, I have said, I know Bob. Bob does a fantastic job. You should definitely use him. I have already created a relationship for that referral. A lead is, here's his business card. Maybe if you want him, he's okay. We don't do that. We create a relationship between the referrer and the referral, and we teach our members how to do that.
Well, you're owning, in effect, then, by doing that, the outcome of what Bob's going to do.
Well, I am transferring my trust, so he better doggone take good care of me, right?
Absolutely.
And take good care of the person you've referred him to.
Well, because ultimately we all refer people. How many people, hey, when was the last time you went to a great restaurant? Why was it great? and you refer.
Sure.
Hey, I'm sure everybody asks Bob where he gets his haircut. He's going to refer his barber, right?
Yeah, I will.
Exactly.
$5 million seed close business. I guess that comes from the referrals doing business together.
Right. So if I pass a referral to someone in a chapter, and these are referrals, they go cross chapter. They're not just BNI member to BNI member. It could be their sister is being referred, their brother-in-law in Virginia is moving here, and they're referring.
Interesting.
And then that person then will put into the system the amount of business that was closed.
How do you track that, though?
The members are in charge of tracking their own thank you for closed business. So they put it in. So if I send we have many.
It's very much an honesty deal then.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we have 3 representatives from Stewart Title currently in 3 different chapters. We do. And we have a brand new member, and we have a member, Lauren Smith Clace, who swears, she's like, I didn't know if this was going to work. I mean, title, how does that work? And she has huge numbers where she can look back. And that's one of the things we teach them. Make sure that you turn in your data, because we want to make sure you see a return on your investment.
Yeah. Well, it flows through the community.
It does.
We talk about referrals. We talk about the money that's generated out of it all. What does it do? Well, it helps send members' kids to college.
It does.
Helps members to live passionate and perhaps amazing lives, not just because that they've made more money, but because the quality of business, I guess, the relationships are elevated.
They are.
And they make better friends out of it, better communications. Yeah. Would it be fair to say that you love what you get to do each day, Bill? Would that be fair?
I do. I was not even at the same meeting as Chrissy this morning, and yet I'm working with our newest chapter that just launched in Oro Valley. And we're teaching them about the positivity, because positivity is a core value in BNI. It's one of the basics of becoming a member in our organization, which is exclusive. Not only are we exclusive in a way that we don't allow everyone in. Just because you pay for membership doesn't grant you membership in BNI. There's an interview and a vetting process to make sure we're getting the best business owners.
I was going to ask how that comes about, yeah.
And we know that we got the best members in their organization because they have to see each other every week. I mean, if you give somebody a referral and you're expecting them to take care of your customer or your client or your family member, you know seeing them next week that they're going to do that. So the meetings are important. But the piece that I saw this morning, teaching the positivity in the group, talking about how we portray our businesses positively, teaching members how to do that, because so many people don't even understand that how little words they say can affect the outcome of their sales. And then they come into our organization and we help them with the little words to get them just over the peak, so that not only are they benefiting by gaining referral business, but they're also benefiting because they're improving their ability to speak about their business.
Right.
And they practice it every single meeting, every week.
Well, you love what you do, but it's also a case, I would think, of looking forward to building a more stable business environment in all of southern Arizona. I mean, you come under the, what's it called, the Giver's Gain philosophy.
Yep, that is our philosophy, Giver's Gain. The larger givers in our organization, they're the larger receivers. It's just the way that it seems to work.
Well, I don't think you would have become, if you think about it, the world's largest business networking and referral organization, and built a culture like it has done so if it wasn't built upon the philosophy of Giver's Gain. I mean, it's quite unique.
It is.
Isn't it? There's not a lot of things like that. I mean, who thought of this? How did it all start anyway?
Yeah. So Dr. Ivan Meisner is our founder, and in 1985, he was a business consultant in California. He had just purchased a very large home and lost his biggest client all in the same couple of weeks. And amazingly enough, the mortgage company actually doesn't care whether you lost your biggest client. Isn't that crazy? I know. See how it is? They still want the payment. And so he had been networking and consulting businesses and business owners, but it wasn't direct. And he wasn't seeing as much benefit as he thought he could get. So his tiny idea, and Bill and I are blessed to be very good friends with him and his wife, and we spend a lot of additional time with them outside of our conferences. And so we've definitely gotten to pick his brain over the years. This tiny idea that he had was, if I bring, just like we are sitting around a table, if I have my CPA and I have my massage therapists, and I have my financial advisor, and I have the people that I already do business with. And we're around a table. Now it's, 1985. It was Rolodex year. If anybody is listening that you don't know what a Rolodex is, Google it. They're still out there. And he said, if we all bring it to the table, and I bring my ideas, my clients, and you teach me who you need, what's the possibility of me going through that Rolodex and possibly finding you a referral? That was the idea. And his exclusivity idea was, we need one financial advisor, one estate planning attorney, one personal lines insurance person, one massage therapist, one nutritional supplements, one title agent.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I've heard of them.
Exactly. What would happen if you're not in a room with your competition? You're in a room with people that are synergistic for you.
Right.
And it began, and referrals began, and then the financial advisor brought his business partner, because the guy was like, where are you getting this business from? And he said, I'm a member of this thing. I don't even know what it is. And the guy came in and said, well, I'd really like to be a member. And they said, well, you can't, because we've already got a financial advisor. And he goes, okay, well, I want to start one of these. And Ivan's story is, he looked at him and said, okay, I don't even know what that looks like.
Right.
And then the second chapter was born.
But in another location, another area.
In another location.
Is there a
still in
guideline
California.
of chapters? Do they need to be so far apart from each other? Or
We have 3 chapters that meet in exactly the same venue. They just meet different days and different times.
Interesting.
And it's not really location based. I mean, Bob, you're going to travel and probably do all over the city, all over the state.
Whenever I can.
Doesn't really matter where your clients come from. They're everywhere. The AC guy is not going to say, oh, I'm sorry, you're north of River. Can't help you.
Right.
He's not going to say that.
Interesting.
So BNI is really not location based. And then you fast forward and somebody called from Arizona and said, hey, you want a franchise? Ivan said, I mean, maybe. I don't know. And that first franchise was purchased, and then it just grew. So we're in 74 countries with upwards of 260,000 members that meet every single week to pass each other fantastic business and create great relationships.
That's amazing.
And really good friends.
And when did it start? What year?
1985.
Since only 85. I mean, that's not that long ago.
It really isn't. And we've only been in southern Arizona for 19 years.
So you guys have owned this chapter for 19 years.
So actually, I came into BNI in 2004 as a residential real estate appraiser. So a lot of the title agents know me from my real estate days. That's how I came into BNI in 2004. I purchased the region in 2010.
Okay.
You're listening to Chrissy Ballard, who is one of the founders and CEOs of BNI International. In which chapter then do I nominate when it comes to that? Is there a specific name for that chapter?
Nope. There are, when I joined, it was called the Foothills chapter. It doesn't exist anymore because we don't do location-based chapters. But I will tell you that the real estate agent that was in that chapter, when I joined that chapter, is still a member, and I saw her today.
Small world. There you go. I guess Chris and Bill Ballard and Bob Ditko from Stewart Title and Trust. And you're listening to Tucson Means Business, and they contribute a lot of business in Tucson. But we're here thanks to the 49ers Golf and Country Club. And I just want to mention that it is an unforgettable Tucson golf experience. You could be hearing this anywhere, but if you're visiting Tucson, it's come back. They call it the Phoenix Course now. It's come back from the dead. The 49er Country Club. It's a William Francis Bell designed classic. It's an established club on the eastern side of Tucson, straight up a road called Tanque Verde. Past the school, the Emily Gray School, and it's on the right-hand side. It's semi-private facility, inviting golfers of all skill levels. But I'll tell you something funny, and as a member and a golfer, and I'm a high handicapper, so I'm nobody, but the end of the day is this. We get people who come from la-di-da clubs, the private clubs all over America, and they're pretty good golfers. They're off 2s and 3s and 4 handicaps and so on. And they hear about the 49ers and they realize, I could even walk this. It's so simple, Oh my God, this is a kid's course, you know what I mean? Well, when they first joined the club, Chrissy, honestly, they're about a 2 and a 3. 6 months later, they're out to 8, 9, and 10. So, so much for that. Right. But the Rincon Grill is there, and by all means, give it a try. Beautiful food. include brand new food and beverage manager, Macca Mackenzie Taylor. She's an absolute doll, and she's a terrific lady. And they really go after the staff and marvelous, all right? That's the 49ers Golf and Country Club with the Rincon Grill. It's fabulous. You thoroughly enjoy it. Bob Ditko is one of the guests from Stuart Title. He's a very busy boy. What do you do? Your job. You're so diverse.
Put the pimentos in the olives.
Yeah.
Sell them to the bars. I love the education. I love teaching. I teach Southern Arizona Growth, Pima County Growth. I also teach marketing and social networking. But what I really like to base myself is find out what somebody's wants and needs are and see if I can help them enhance their business for the most part. So take B&I for an example. If I was thinking outside the box, with so many people in Tucson, you want to raise that up to more people. What if they did your own radio show and where you brought in one of the people each week or each show, or 2 or 3 of them, so they could talk about themselves? Because once that starts to get around and everybody's starting to cheer each other on, other people hear about it and want to join. So sometimes that works for companies, sometimes that doesn't. But I also teach that social networking is your phone book. Treat it like your phone book. Don't treat it like your personal life. And see if you can go from there. And if you can drag more information about what you do at an 80-20 rule, where you give some things about yourself. By the way, I've also sell real estate. This is where I'm at. This is the home I got going on this week. But keep going on with other things and show consistency. It seemed to be a success around for what people are doing right now. I teach videos and how to make that 1.5 minute video that makes sense. How many people go to Google every day and we type in something? So if you could do a video, Google is hooked to YouTube. They own each other. So with that idea in mind, when you put yourself on YouTube and it goes on Google, Google's going to reward you for using their system and put you up in the top 2 or 3 pages from where you're at, even the first page, for what you want. So an example is with real estate, I always tell them, start off with a video, 1.5 to 2 minute video. After that, we go ADD, and we're thinking of popcorn and pork chops. So what we want to learn first is how to buy a home. Maybe you put bullet points. First thing you want to do is check your FICO score. After that, you want to get pre-qualified. So you're going to find a lender. And after you get a lender, you're going to start thinking about the real estate agent you're going to use. What do you want in a home? If you do that and put them all down as your first one, you can tear that apart and go, let's do a video. What's a FICO score? If you believe it or not right now, if you Google that and put it on YouTube, you're going to find videos out there that have 13,000 hits. Why is this not your video? Why aren't you getting those 13,000 hits? Why are you letting some guy in San Francisco do it? Same thing. What's a VA loan? What's a conventional loan? What's an FA loan?
So your goal is to build teams and learn so they can learn from each other.
How they can turn around and market themselves, learn how to market themselves so they can actually be successful and then bring me the business later on down the line.
Right, because I mean, look, you're a title company.
Yes.
You're not a real estate agent.
I can sit here and wait for the business to come in, or I can go out and help people create the business.
Okay, and you're not a bank, so you're not giving loans out, but people need a title when they're buying real estate.
Right, they do.
All right.
Example.
So your job is to get out there and muster up business.
It's great to muster up business, but if people don't have the business, then why am I waiting for it? So instead of waiting for that to happen,
this is where you go out.
It.
Very, very productive, very proactive is the word,
We have a
isn't
commercial roundtable that meets here on Thursday mornings, the second and fourth Thursday, and they ask what their haves and wants are. And as they're doing it, I'm writing them down. And meanwhile, I'm looking at somebody else's haves and wants and their haves and wants and introducing them.
Okay.
Sometimes you don't get the business. Sometimes somebody already has something in common with somebody else in another company. So be it. You're paying it forward. It's instead of waiting for it to happen, you make it happen.
Wise words. So why social networking, Bob?
I love it. It's something that I can I use it for me. I use it as my escape at night. In the morning, I put something humorous on there. At nighttime, I put something sentimental on there. At the same time, I also know it's your phone book today. And when's the last time we picked up a phone book besides to stick it in front of the door so you can have the monsoons? And these days, you got to go steal your neighbors.
Right.
Yeah.
So true.
Nail them together so that hopefully it keeps your door open while your dog looks out. So you have to turn around and realize what is the concept of using social networking, what is the concept of using marketing online, because people are got their phones. If you look at it and you understand, Facebook, for an example, gets 204 million hits a month, and that's just for the United States. Now, these are numbers that come from what's called Quantcast. It'll give you those. Google does 248 million. YouTube gets 214 million. So if you got those top 3 that you can work for, then realize, don't forget Instagram. Kids are using that, and it's a different age group, along with generation gap. Then you also have Twitter, which some of us don't use. LinkedIn, which is even being used more and more these days. and who's behind that. For an example, LinkedIn, the management behind there, the person's actually making, the average person on LinkedIn makes about $98,000 a year. And they're somewhere in management, sometimes ownership, CEOs, stuff like that. When they're going on LinkedIn, they're looking for certain causes, certain reasons. They're even looking to hire people and put jobs up there. So you don't see them coming in talking about, I had escargot for dinner and it gave me a rash. It does not work. Here you put in, this is what I'm looking for when I'm buying escargot to sell at my restaurant. Who sells that? And this escargot person over here says, I've got the quantity you want and let me reach out to you. And you can work it out that way. So it's just knowing how to ask for the business too.
All right, let me ask you a couple of important questions. How important is follow-up to you?
Yeah,
and why is consistency so important, do you think?
Follow-up is 3/4 of your job. Okay. If you're not turning around and following up, you're not doing your job. You're going out and wasting your time. There's so many people that want to go out and say, here's what I've got to offer. I gave you a great sale. I gave you a great pitch. I'm selling. I'm ready to go. Call me.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Meanwhile, that guy they turn down next time says, not only are you ready to go, I'm giving you homework. Fill this out. Once you fill this out, I'm going to call you within a week. I gave him something right off the bat to turn around and look at and go, here's your homework. If I don't hear from you by Wednesday, I'm calling you by Thursday. If you don't answer by Thursday, I'm going to be at your door on Friday. Which one is it? You just turn around and give him a reason and also let them acknowledge, I'm following up with you. You're important to me. Mm-hmm. If that happens, most of them, I'd rather have their honesty. Bob, I work with so-and-so over here. They've been friends of mine forever. As soon as she dies, I will be there. If not, you never know. Something ever goes wrong or some other company can't do it. Stewart Title, for example, we're worldwide. We're the fourth in the world. A lot of the title agencies around you have to get questions, and answers from their underwriters. Our underwriters are right here. So we could turn around and get that done and over with. And half the time it comes to us that way.
How do you get motivated to market?
How do I get more? Every morning I do 3 different things. I get up and I make 3 people smile right off the bat. Okay. And then it puts your heart in a good place. And I also find some way to help 3 people daily, not just 340 days a year, 365 days a year. And then I appreciate 3 people. By the time you're done with that, just doing it in the morning or even during your day, if you're not a happy person, don't go out and motivate and market. You don't want miserable people. Give me your business.
You'd only share that too, wouldn't you? That's no good.
It's so true.
Let's talk about where you're out and about a little bit. What's new in our area? We'll come back on it to do a bit more, but just give me a bit of a taste of what we're talking about, because everybody's buzzing about Tucson growing, and it's good for all business, and it's good for everybody.
We just got named number 1 in Arizona for bringing visitors. A great place to visit. So Tucson's actually on the board for the first time to bring visitors to Arizona. We're the number 1 to come to.
Wow. This is more than Phoenix.
This is more than Phoenix. And the reason why is, we're 7 degrees cooler right now. Okay, that works. But at the same time, what it also is that we've opened up more places and we started marketing ourselves a little better. Yeah. Tucson was marketing themselves as, don't come here. We don't want you. We're quiet. Tucson, keep it small. You're going to grow. So as we started bringing downtown to life again, after the days of the Hockamy days when they were down there in Gruensfelds and all the other shops, when we started bringing it back to life, people start realizing that there's something to do. So with bringing something to do, it's also bringing more people in saying, let's hold our conventions here. Let's hold our meetings here. Gem Show's growing. They're going to be building their own hotel for them down the line. So we've seen in the last year alone, 5 hotels being promoted, 1 fell out, so we got 4 being built right now. Before that, we had 2 others being built downtown. Along with that, we've got 3 others being built in Tucson. So you've got the Hampton that's going over at Rita and I-10 that's opened up, the ones at Twin Peaks opened up, and now they're looking at Keno and I-10 to open up. So we're noticing that we're taking advantage of the highway, not just the inside of town.
Well, you've been with Stewart Title for 10 years now, I believe, Bob. And
actually, going on 12. I just got my 12-year anniversary.
Okay, so saying that goes that it would be fair to say that if they're building something in southern Arizona, you have the details, or you've certainly heard about it, because that's your job, isn't it?
Yes. What I did years ago, I was asked by somebody when I became a marketing rep years ago at a different company. I was handing out the papers and the pens and the little buttons, and I says, here, use me. And people are like, no. I go, what do you want? And I had this guy named Hans, a little German guy, because I want to know what's going on in the corner over here. I want to know what's going to happen over this and here. What are they doing with downtown? Because this is what my people are asking. So I says, give me 3 months. So I went back and did my studies, and it opened doors for me with the city. It's opened doors with me with the county. It's opened doors with the prisons, not in the way you guys are thinking, but and actually getting to know the owners and the businesses, even open doors for me commercial. What do you got going? Mark Irwin, downtown. He also has got over here. I can walk in and talk to him and says, what do you want people to know? And so it's open doors. And as you get the right answer, you realize that you make sure what you heard is what you tell them. I don't like talking about the negative. It's usually the positive. Everything's going on. You can come up with 100 negative things. If you're talking about the positive, it's different than what everybody else is giving you. So I'm finding the right crowd to follow. Those are the ones I want to work with and pick. You're only going to work with about 10% of the people that you meet out of every 100.
Right.
Because your personality matches them. So when you've got a group that only has so many different kinds of people in there, if this BNI or this thing over here doesn't work, you got to meet Lauren over at this one over here, because the personalities and the match with personalities, which helps bond everybody else to grow.
Interesting.
That's why I like BNI. It's got a lot of different personalities. You've got a lot of different chapters here in town. You can find one that fits you and you can run with it.
So speaking of BNI, Bill and Chrissy, you can both share these. I mean, if I was to ask you to give me 6 good reasons why this organization has been so successful around the world, what would they be?
6.
We'll start with 1.
Good. How about 1?
Start with 1.
Well, no, I can give 6 just based on our core values. The probably one of the biggest, and you've spoken about it, is that givers gain philosophy. You can go anywhere in the world and walk into a chapter, and it can be a brand new member, and you can ask, what's the philosophy of BNI in, I don't know, 45, 46 different languages. Everyone knows. Everyone knows what that philosophy is. And so that giver's gain mentality,
Right.
I think, takes us a long ways. You cannot be, in my opinion, a great giver without having a positive and supportive attitude. There are a lot of givers out there, but they give out things that people don't necessarily want. And
Good
so
point.
that positive and supportive attitude, nobody, my joke is we have a weekly meeting. No one wants to go to a weekly meeting with Eeyore. Ever. Even as annoying as Tigger can be from time to time, he is way more fun to be around. Way more fun to be around. So, surrounding yourself with the positive and supportive people makes a huge difference. And when you do that, then you get to build those meaningful relationships.
Well, you talk about business positive, an audience of positive, like-minded business people. They gain new business. They receive business education, right? And I guess improving business networking skills with positive business people can only rub off to be positive thing overall. Enjoyable to go.
Well, yeah, we have a lot of networking. Tucson is a very big small town.
Yeah, sure
You want to go to a
is.
networking event, there's probably something happening at least once or twice or probably 3 times a week. So there are a lot of chamber events. There are a lot of other networking things going on. And we say, go be a member. Go network outside of BNI. But when you go, network effectively. Before I came into BNI, I thought I was a great networker. Turns out I just talk a lot. Very different.
Yeah, well,
very different concept.
The way I see it, there's networking and there's, what are we talking about? Mixing and...
Yeah, the mixers, the social aspect.
There's lots of those.
Lunching.
Yes.
Munching, drinking all night, handing cards out, hoping to God someone does business with you next week.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Mixers, that's what they call
Yes.
the mixers.
Yes.
Having been to a BNI and having been to one mixer here, which is enough to turn me off, believe me, there is no comparison.
Yeah.
And this is the difference of what you do.
And it's okay. The mixer is a great place to make connections, to then offer an opportunity to, hey, come check out this meeting where I can introduce you to some people. I think the challenge is that in this town especially, people go into networking events with, 50 business cards, and the goal is to get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
And what we teach and what we train, it's what we're doing in the Tucson Metro Chamber right now, is really teaching people, just take 5. Take 5 business cards. And somebody looked at me like I was crazy. They said, what do you mean? And I said, no. If you have 5 meaningful conversations, 5, and you do not give your business card out unless someone asks for it, you will make an appointment
Yeah.
You will get
It's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah,
Be selective.
Well,
very
and how many
selective.
don't? You
Very
do this for a
selective.
living.
Yeah.
You walk out in the community and 4 people walk up to you throwing business cards at you. They don't ask you your name. They don't care what you do.
Right.
And what are you going to do with the business card?
Well, you don't even remember you when you call them. So
Right.
you're 100% accurate on that. And if you look at a lot of different places that you go for these mixers, you see groups of the same people all the time talking to just themselves as you're walking through. If my boss saw me just talking to one group at a time, she'd smack me on the back of the head to try again.
Right.
So you've got to go from place to place to place to place. Hey, with the BNI, you see that because everybody sits at different tables, different chairs, there's different somebody next to you. You're having that conversation before you get set, and you're ready to go. So it makes a lot more sense to me that way than the mixers most of the time.
Well, honestly, I think the confusion starts when we plan to go to an event, because the Chamber of Commerce, we partner with the Chamber of Commerce very well. We love the Chamber of Commerce. I think it's a dynamic organization that's absolutely necessary in our community. But in their name, it says commerce. And what their focus and goal is to improve the climate for business in our community.
Right.
And it's absolutely necessary. As business owners, if we get together, we have a common voice, we can affect change in politics or policy that'll improve our business opportunities. So yeah, be a part of that, but be involved. And then there's civic organizations, like Chrissy's with Junior Achievement and the March of Dimes we were talking about earlier, and maybe the Rotary. Absolutely critical. One of my favorite stories is, believe it or not, the second oldest Rotary in the United States is in Nogales, Arizona.
Yes.
And they've been around forever. And they invited us down to help them with growth because they're struggling, just like every organization does, with retention of members and growth of new members. And we find out that their mission is they bought this water truck, they fill it with potable water, and they take it to all the schools around the Nogales community because they don't have potable water at their schools. They fill up these water coolers for the children to drink while they're at school because it's safe.
Nice.
That serves a dynamic purpose for the community too.
well,
I love that organization. I love their mission. However, how are we different? We're about your business. We're not about the community. We're not about everything going on outside of your life. We're about your business. And when you get that focused on something, you can't help but be successful.
Good point.
So I say go to the mixers, meet the people, develop the relationships, find the ones that are going to work best with you, and then bring them into your fold. Make them a part of your life. It doesn't have to be BNI. You can take everything you learn in BNI and utilize it to improve your personal relationship with the community and your business outside of BNI. We're a teaching organization, not just a network organization. But if we get the opportunity to work with these people to help them to benefit their business, then they can become a part of the Rotary and focus their extra time and their extra funds to make that goal of the Rotary more available to more communities, or maybe even one day give potable water to the schools so they don't have to have a truck. That's really
just
our
one,
focus.
that's one example too, really, of all the good work that goes on. It's amazing in this city.
It is.
250,000 members more probably by now, but in 76 countries.
Yeah.
Does that mean if one was to travel and you were a BNI member of one chapter, you can pop in on another one?
Absolutely. Go visit.
And they welcome you.
I say it all the time.
Yeah.
The great thing is, that's that agenda that we run. Doesn't matter if you understand the language or not, you're going to know where they are in the agenda. You're going to know what's going on. Bill and I had an opportunity to actually attend a chapter in Juarez. And we do not speak Spanish yet, but we knew exactly where they were in the agenda. We knew what was happening. We didn't know everything that was said, but we knew. And so, yeah, it is. It's very cool. We are blessed to have really fantastic friends all over the world, and
I'm going to ask you an easy question. Why do you do what you do?
Why do I do what I do?
Both of you.
So let's see. Well, the condensed version, I am an only child. I am a native Tucsonan, and I grew up in a definitely a different kind of home life. So I kind of had to be driven on my own. I set my own boundaries. I didn't really, my parents were doing what they needed to be doing, and I kind of set my own boundaries. And what I realized, it took me a long time. I thought I did what I did to give people a voice and an opportunity to be successful. And after going through this very intense BNI class, what I realized is I had really gone a long time without people having my back. Not purposely. I love my parents. We get along great now. We have a fantastic relationship. But I was searching for people to have my back because I'm that relational person.
Right.
And somebody looked at me and they said, but you get to do that every day. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I
How
get
lucky
to
are you?
watch all of these
Yeah.
people come together and have each other's back and create success for each other. And selfishly, I have people that have mine, not just here, but all over the world too. And I have members that deeply care about me. You know, when I went through a divorce 5.5 years ago, those were the people that were there. They came out of the woodwork and they were the support system. And
Well, you
they
soon
were the
find out who your
ones.
friends are when something like that comes along, too,
So
doesn't
true.
it?
So yeah, that's why I
Eh?
do what I do. I get to create a place that.
Bill, let me ask you this. What are good community partners for you here, say, in southern Arizona?
You know, right now I'm working with the Metro Chamber and the ambassador team, and I'm looking to work with the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. One of my goals is to bring this organization to the Spanish-speaking community. We are underserving them as far as an opportunity for their business to grow. And once we make that connection for that Spanish community, that Spanish chapter of BNI that we're trying to create, then they'll be able to transfer their business to all of our other business owners very easily with an automatic system that connects all of our members together called BNI Connect. And I feel like they're underserved. I feel like they're underrepresented. I feel like they have so much to offer, and they're kind of excluded because they're more comfortable speaking in their own language. And that's one of my focuses. Is I want.
But they
to
choose. Wouldn't you think that they choose to do that, though? They can learn English as much as we could learn Spanish if you wanted to.
I absolutely believe that that's true for those of us that are given the opportunity, for those of us that are given the support
Right.
as we mature to feel like we have the ability to learn, that we have the confidence to go out. I mean,
Right.
I'm talking about confidence. I know that there's been a lot of people that say, well, what they're in our nation. Why don't they speak our language? Well, what's our language? What's our Aboriginal language?
Right.
Native American Indian, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's unconscionable for me to think that I can't develop myself to overcome barriers, whether it's a personal barrier or a physical barrier. But now I'm talking about a language barrier that.
Would that be a challenge? I mean, what are the biggest challenges for BNI right now, would you say, that you would have right now?
So I need a Bob.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I
need a
mean,
Bob.
honestly,
Yeah.
so it's so funny. You know, you get very locked into your business
Yes.
sometimes.
Yes.
And I truly love my members. I love them. I want them successful. I want them making more money than me. What I have done is I have marketed for them within BNI. And what I realized
Right.
was you're not marketing BNI, silly. Like you need to spread the word of what you're doing, not just within BNI. We know what we do in BNI. If you're in BNI, I mean, you're not in BNI, you hear about it, you know
Right.
about
You
it.
see it, you understand
you
it.
feel it. How do we need to do
Make
a
it
better
shine.
job of the visibility and the credibility in this community? Because I know that it can change people's businesses. So that's our biggest thing.
How many people belong to BNI here in Tucson?
About 300.
See, with 300, to turn around and promote 3 a day, turn around and put it out there. Maybe it's a video. Maybe it's just, here's this restaurant. Here's their insurance company.
Right.
This is their dog grooming company, whatever it is, and let them know that BNI cares and giving back. It doesn't really cost much if it costs
No.
anything at all. To do a radio show on the BNI and bring them in here and talk for an hour would probably build the BNI success even more because everybody realizes they're going to get that chance.
Right.
And they're making it shine. And now people know who it is. And oh my God, they just brought in 50 more in the last week or two because people know what BNI is and what it really stands for instead of just a meeting every once a week.
Right.
So it's giving it back. It's almost giving it kudos daily for a little while and
Yep.
being consistent about it. I see you guys just blowing up even more.
Yeah.
I've got a question I want to ask because I would think that somebody also might have thought it who's listening to the show. How do I put this? You know how you explain that you have one vertical of each particular market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Is it a case of first in, best dressed for that particular chapter?
It's a great question.
Okay. And what is the generic feeling of, darn, I've missed out?
Yeah.
And therefore I can't do business.
Right. So it's a fantastic question. It is not first come, first serve.
Okay.
We are selective. We train our membership committees to be selective. And I think it's really important that we control very little of what happens in our organization, because all of our chapters work basically, they're B&I businesses in and of themselves. And we train our membership committees, and they're the ones that will do the interviews. So there is an interview process. They will sit down with 2 membership committee members. They want to make sure that they understand what the commitment level is. I never want to take someone's marketing dollar and not make. I need them to understand this is going to take some time.
Okay, so my hearing here, there's 3 plumbers.
Yep.
There's 2 idiots.
Yep.
And there's 1 professional guy that genuinely cares about his business.
Yep.
And does certain things that prove to you he cares about his business.
Correct.
And will do the right things by the other members to ensure that he'll be around for a little while.
Correct.
And not a fly-by-night.
Yes.
That could be a big, with the adjudicators of the assessment going through.
Yeah, they're going to make a decision.
It's a professional attitude towards things.
I can give you
Absolutely.
a primary example of one of our chapters.
Please do.
Realty is one of our key classifications in our organization. There are no chapters in B&I that don't have a realtor. And the residential realty position opened in one of our chapters due to a health concern. The chapter, 24 hours after the chapter was notified that the realtor had to step away, we had 28 registered visitors that were realtors. The next week, we had 18 applications with payment to get into that chapter. They got the cream of the crop.
Yep.
They were able to pick the one they wanted. And what did they do? They contacted a title agent to find out how many units did this realtor move last year.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And that disqualified the top 15.
Well, it would certainly disqualify a newbie, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
And it's but he gets that in any darn thing when you're
But
coming
it
into real
doesn't
estate.
disqualify a newbie all the time. I think that's the thing that is important to understand. We have brand new real estate agents that come into BNI, and they have a better attitude.
Yep.
Right.
There are some, and it's not just real estate. I mean, you don't just deal in real estate. You meet all different types of people.
Right.
There are plenty of seasoned business professionals who believe they are above having a good attitude.
Right.
You're right.
And that I don't really have to act a certain way because I'm going to get the business anyway. So I definitely think that it's important that people understand that you can absolutely get into a BNI chapter, whether you are just starting a business, and I don't care if it's a brand new real estate business,
Right.
or you've been around for 15 years. Probably the number one thing is, do you have a good attitude, and are you willing to come in here and be a part of this team?
Well, it's fair enough because we're closing now, and I just want to ask each of you, our lovely guests today, just perhaps one question each. In closing for the Ballards, what's your biggest success, would you say, Bill, right now in BNI? What's your biggest success?
Well, I just launched my first BNI chapter, and in BNI after 15 years. I'm kidding, but I've been out of town. But I just got back in town, and one of the chapters I was working with finally reached their goal of a minimum number, and we were able to launch them in BNI Connect, and we're training them to be effective,
Pretty exciting.
managers of their
Very
business.
good. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exciting.
BNI, if you're listening, www.bniarizonasouth.com. But these contacts will be published on the site, on the Tucson Business Radio X site, as soon as the show has been put together. It'll be there for 24/7 for the next 365 days and the next 20 years. It never goes away. So you can always hear it and take notes. Okay? And there's the Facebook deal. That'll all be on it as well. Bob, I got one for you before we go. I want to ask you a very, very serious question. If I had an apple pie and I turned it over, what would it be?
It'd be an apple turnover.
This fellow's got humor. That's why I did that. Thank you for the work you do with Stewart Title and Trust. You are maybe number 4 in the world, but quite frankly, you're number 1 in Tucson from what I can find out with the way of service.
Thank you very much.
With what you give people and how you make people feel at home. And that's an important thing. So I want to thank Bob Ditko, who is the Vice President of Social Media and generally an all-round darn good coffee maker. And he's here at...
All right.
I watched the video.
Good to know.
See you in the morning, buddy.
Dear, oh dear. And the lovely Chrissy Ballard. And her better half,
That's fine.
Oh Gosh, Mike.
That's fine.
it's usually the other way around, so I thought I'd flip it, you know.
I see a ring on your hand. I know better.
22 and happy as Larry. Thank you very much. So there we go. That's the Ballards from B&I. And check it out. If you've been thinking about something and you're not sure where to go, just starting a business, there's no better place. B&I, look it out. I mean, you'll have all the things. Read it on the publishing and go online, read all you want. You've got a good website too, so that explains a lot of
Yeah,
things.
thanks, Mark.
And I want to thank again for this episode of Tucson Means Business. Thanks to the 49ers and wonderful Casey Polivchak there, the Director of Sales and Marketing of the 49ers Golf and Country Club on Tanque Verde. And it truly is Tucson's hidden gem.